Welcome to the Three Path Profits podcast, where we'll talk about business, finance, social media, and everything in between on our paths to profit. Three different people, three different side hustles, one common goal profit. My name is Kyle,
My name is Lexi.
My name is Amanda.
and we're your hosts. Set the proper expectations for today's episode. Our format will be as follows. First, we will hear from Lexi, who will talk about everything related to her Etsy shop. Then we'll hear about myself, who will teach us all things investing. Last up, we'll hear from Amanda, who will go over the latest in the social media world. Let's dive in.
Alrighty, so to start out with some stats, for the last 7 days, I had 9 views and 9 visits and 0 orders. The last 30 days, I had 85 views, 57 visits, and 0 orders. Overall, I'm happy with those numbers. I'm finally starting to get back into posting on TikTok and Instagram and everything again now that I finally have content again. So, overall, I can't complain with that. So, I'm adding kind of this part to it because I thought about it last week and listening back to some episodes and whatnot, I feel like I talked about like what I've spent, but I want to be able to like show you exactly like on a week by week what changes, what I'm buying, things like that. So the money I've spent on supplies so far to date is $543.10. I have 6 sales that total out to $104.40. Shipping costs $15.99 for those orders. The Etsy fees, which include listing fees, processing fees, and transaction fees, were $14.94. So the total net profit through my Etsy sales was $73.47. So essentially in the whole $469.63. So I felt like that was just kind of a good thing to run through to show you like what I'm paying for shipping, what I'm paying for the Etsy fees, what my sales have been, how much I've spent on supplies, and essentially, again, what I'm in the hole for that. So I'm not obviously happy with how much I'm in the hole, but at the same time, I still have a lot of things left from what I've purchased on supplies, whether that be any of the vinyls or even just like I have a lot of bookmarks left. I have some spoon rests left. I have a bunch of different things left that I can still use. So I won't really be getting a lot of vinyl necessarily or things like that moving forward for any projects that I'm going to need. It's really just the actual item that I'm going to be putting the project on that I would need to purchase.
I like this little extra tidbit a lot. I hope you continue to add this in every week.
I agree. I have some points.
Go ahead.
Do you have the bank account set up? Did you get the EIN? Did you get the LLC?
No.
As I You knew I was going to ask that if you put this in here.
Yep.
I know you and Amanda have talked about doing it together. Why don't we just hop on like a Teams meeting this weekend and we can all just walk through it together?
We're both out of town this weekend, but
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll put a pin in it. Come back to it
No,
later.
literally,
That's
like,
something.
I'm not kidding when I tell you I have a little.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
I know I need to do it. I've had it on my to do list for so long. And I definitely think, like, yes, again, these aren't like super, super crazy numbers in revenue and like what I've made in sales and everything. But again, it is just to get it again before anything goes too crazy, whatnot. So I'm totally down to hop on and have Kyle talk us through the LLC and whatnot.
Here's my other reason, and this is for both of you. You both need to start documenting all of these expenses through the business bank account. And two, you need to start paying yourselves. So, like depositing money into the company account and paying yourselves for your time associated with the business operation. Now, while you're doing that, you're depositing into your bank account, then you're paying yourself out of that. But all of the expenses now are on a company credit card that earns rewards, which is now building business credit. So all of these steps are going to help you guys a bunch. Just by having all those steps in place, you'll benefit tremendously.
I was actually thinking about this when I was walking into Walmart the other day because I've been starting to track mine too. And I have no idea because I've never done it before. What kind of cards can you open when it's your first account with a business account?
You'd shit your pants.
Like
You'd shit your
can you
pants.
open like a Costco card, like anything?
You'd shit your pants. You'd shit your pants. What I mean by that is you'd walk into any of your local banks or any, yeah, sure, if you want it to be Costco, wherever, and say, hi, this is my business. Here's my EIN. This is what I do. This is how I'm making revenue. Or this is how I plan to make revenue. You don't even have to have revenue yet necessarily, but just by having an EIN, you have an access to any business credit or funding lending types of institution.
Yeah, I mean, I
Some of the
definitely
some of the credit cards are badass too. Some of the credit cards are badass. There's a lot of perks, just like personal credit cards, right? Like you're
Hmm.
3% back on groceries or whatever. The business ones are the same way. So
yeah, I mean, I'm definitely down whenever we get a free fucking like 30 minutes
Hmm.
even.
Yeah.
I'm so down to just go through and do it because again,
it takes 5 minutes.
yeah.
You guys are gonna laugh. Like it. We're gonna put in basically just put in your information,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Okay. So that's going to be a to-do list. I'm going to harass both of you to find a time when we can do it.
I
I'm good
expect
Sunday.
I expect to be
I'll put it.
harassed.
I'll put a date out there. I'm good Sunday night.
I'll be driving
We're
home from Philly, so we'll
Yeah,
see.
I'll be out of town
Sunday
still.
night.
I
Yeah.
don't come back till Monday.
We'll put a pin in that.
Okay.
Come back to that.
Okay. So some general updates. I did make the Yeti. Well, I didn't make the Yeti. I made a design on the Yeti. So
You made the Yeti. I think that's an appropriate phrase to say.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
you made the Yeti.
So this is what it looks like if you're watching the video version. Um, so I did post content of me making it. For that, I got 1,512 views, 23 likes, and 4 saves on TikTok. Overall, I would say it was a fun project to do. It wasn't really that hard. It was kind of pretty much what I expected, with similar to the etching for the glass with the armor etch. So again, I didn't really need to watch a bunch of videos to kind of show me how to. I did a little bit just to kind of see how long they kept it on, what they did to get it off, things like that. But essentially, I didn't really do it with the one video that I posted, but you can also tape around the outer layer of the vinyl to make sure it doesn't drip on to any other parts of the cup, because obviously if that happens, then you risk having the material come off on different parts that you don't want to come off. I think it's more beneficial in more intricate projects to do that, just because you might not have as much space around the vinyl, or whenever you're wiping away at things. I don't. So kind of a bunch of different ways that you can go about it, but I kept it on for about an hour. I tested just to see. I scraped it a little bit on where I had the citrus syrup on. I left it on a little bit longer because I realized it wasn't coming off that easy. So then I think it was like another half an hour maybe, and then I started taking it off. Wasn't really that bad. I enjoyed making the video. I did, kind of like on a tangent off of that, I ended up purchasing a like video stand for my phone, because when I'm doing the citrus strip, it was really like weird, the video angle that I had, because I wanted to do it like overhead, like above me, but I couldn't because I didn't have anything to like hold it above me while I was doing it. So I ended up just purchasing, I would think it was like 25 bucks off Amazon, a stand that I can just like put overhead of me, won't have to worry about anything, and it'll be able to capture everything that way. And I did kind of play around with it a little bit. I have in my notes that I wanted to test it out, but I was able to a little bit. It seems like the videos come out nice. It's going to look a lot better. you won't be able to really see my face. You'll be able to see the top of my head. But again, it's not really about me. It's about me doing what I'm doing in the video. So, okay.
My
And then,
my my face is hardly in any of my videos.
Yeah.
yeah.
That'll be cool to see how those videos turn out.
Yeah.
What did you get a different stand than the one you got me?
Yeah. I got one. Let me here.
Because the one you got me does exactly what you're describing.
Yeah. So this one, it gets like, you can, it's a stand for the
Oh.
ground. And
Mhm,
then these all come apart so you can
mhm.
Move it
add
out.
height to it. It essentially, I think it was like 85 inches or something it said. So this can also work for whenever I'm ironing on vinyl or whatever, so that I don't have to set it on the ironing board or set it on something next to it. Like it can go wherever with me rather than having to
That's super
make
nice.
sure it's sitting on something. So I just like set it right next to my desk whenever I was doing something earlier just to test it out, and it worked perfectly just to kind of get that overhead shot of what I was doing.
So the base of mine is weighted. So whenever I have my phone horizontal to face down, the weighted part keeps it in place. Is yours strong enough to keep it like that? Have you tried it that way yet?
Yeah, so it, whatever the fuck this like thing is, like it's honestly like a lot stronger than you think. It
Yeah.
looks kind of flimsy, but like honestly it was, I read the reviews before I bought it because obviously I was going to be using it like this horizontally so you could look down, and it
Mhm.
actually does work really well.
Nice.
It didn't budge at all whenever I was videoing. They're like my little tester.
The video that you made of the Yeti, I just had like a funny little idea for if you make another one. When you go from the one clip of you putting it on to taking it off, put in the SpongeBob, the 2 hours later.
No,
Oh
I
yeah,
was
good. That's good. That's actually really good.
so funny enough, I was actually with me playing around with stuff today. I took a little extra snippet video of it like just sitting there, and I was gonna do that whenever I made another video and like put like the little like clip in
Yeah.
that says 2 hours later of like it just
Yeah.
sitting there. Granted, I'll kind of touch on this because this was in within the week of us doing this. I did end up doing a more intricate design. That was on my goals to do. I ended up having some free time to kind of play around with it today. It was definitely an epic fail. It was a lot harder than I expected it to be, but I think it was also part of the cup that I used. I didn't necessarily use a Yeti. It was just like a cheap like Walmart one. I don't really think it matters if it's a Yeti per se, but I think it matters what type of material on how well it etches it and like gets that crisp line, doesn't fuck up the outer layer and
Doesn't
whatnot.
bleed.
Yeah. So I need to kind of do a little bit more research into that. I don't like it, didn't come out horribly, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted. It wasn't as clean, this, that, and the other. And it's also a lot harder to take out all of this in a more intricate design, obviously, because you're sitting there taking out little itsy pieces, trying to make sure it comes out crisp. But I'll be playing around with that, doing more stuff. I also realized that one of the cups, I played around with two different things today. So also another cup that I tried apparently like didn't have the right material at all. So then I just let the citrus sips sit on there for it to do absolutely fucking nothing. So I started wiping away, and I was like, that was a fucking fail. So I have some content of me doing that, and I'm just going to post it and say what a fucking fail this is.
No failures, only lessons.
Yeah. So I think it's again just, I think whatever type of material the cup is and whatever it has on it, I think is going to be a big important play in how it actually ends up with the project that I do. I don't necessarily think it's the designs per se. I think it's just finding the right cup, making sure it's the right material, doing the little tips and tricks that other people are doing, and kind of just trial and error.
I think that goes a lot along the lines of what I wrote down, which is I think you should have a really big social media emphasis because everything that you're describing is just such good content. And it's almost like you and Amanda are going to have the same or similar strategy, but what you're spending your time documenting, you can actually sell on top of that as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like it sounds like you're going to get like very similar type content, and it'll be cool to see how you guys can work together and strategize and do all that stuff together, because that was definitely something I wrote down is all these videos are cool and you're going to fail a bunch of times, and that's going to be a bunch of cool content, and it's just going to be a cool process to see your progression in doing all these different little nicks and knacks of the trade.
Yeah, for sure. So just to kind of sum it up, since I was kind of all over the place with that little general update. So goals and shout outs to myself. The goals, I kind of already touched base with this slash did some of them. Make a video with the stand that I got. I do want to actually really make a full final product with that rather than just kind of playing around with it. And then also just make another product with the citrus strip using a more intricate design, but also correct cup just to make sure it actually comes out how I would like. So the shout outs to myself is just at anything cricket co on all social medias and Etsy.
Go follow her.
Go follow her. I also had another comment. I sent you something on Instagram, the bookmark.
Yeah. But see, that's like
Really
a
cool.
weird bookmark. That's like a book
It is.
holder. It's
Yeah,
like
it
a
is. It's like a
page
book
holder.
clip. Yeah, it's like a clip.
Yeah.
That would be cool. I want one of those.
Okay. My only thing is with that, I was thinking about it whenever you had originally sent it to me. How does that work per se if you're like halfway through the book?
Send
Like,
it to me. I want to see it.
is the magnet strong enough? And or would the
You
clip look
don't.
stupid? Do you know what I mean?
Send it to
Yeah,
me.
I think you only you don't you can do like 10 pages at a time. It can just you know what I mean.
Oh,
It's
that's true. I guess you don't have to do it from the front.
yeah.
Can you
Sorry, I guess I
cure
didn't
my
really. I'm sending it to you. Calm down.
cure
She
my
is
FOMO?
tweaking.
Which account are you sending it to?
It's coming from Anything Cricket Co., but I'll send it to your Aries. Yeah, so did you understand my question now? Like, I get what he's saying too. I guess I didn't
Yes.
really think about like putting it on like just like a couple pages. You don't have to put it on the front.
Yeah, if you have like a really big book, you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense. Okay, it's on my to-do list to look into.
Sounds good. I guess that means I'm up. Man, do you have anything else for Lex?
Nope. Take it away.
Cool. Get into a portfolio update here. Portfolio is at 1,060.67 cents. So that is a 1.18% increase from last week. We are up 1.15% over the past month. So basically all the gains in the past month are over the past week. It's always interesting to see how these numbers play out like that. And then year to date, we are at 6.07%. Put in $1,000 and it's 60.67. Screen share here. Pull up the Excel.
While you're doing that, is this your highest? I know it's been close to this, but I can't remember the exact numbers. What was the highest
Yeah.
like 70 something?
The
I
highest I
think
think was up to 90s.
Or maybe I don't remember. I know it was I thought it was close, but
We can see my screen here.
yeah.
So now they're basically right on top of each other. This is this week's. So you can see Coca Cola is now up almost 16% unrealized profit. And we only have one in the red. It's Ford down -6 versus last week. Ford and Prudential were both in the red. Ford was down -6.8. Prudential down -3. Prudential is now in the green, 0.14. So it's good to see more names in the green, but and I will touch on this in a little bit. When something like this, Coca-Cola, seeing it start outperforming the way that it is, and it actually just reached an all-time high, that's always just an eyebrow raiser. You're like, okay, it's performed really well. It's at its highest price that it's ever been. Do I take some profits here? So that is something that I'm going to touch on in a little bit, but that's an insight I wanted to highlight here. Anything that you guys are seeing here that you want to touch on?
The change percentages, are these just over the last week, or are these your whole time in your portfolio?
That change percentage is probably daily. Yeah, that's the daily change percentage you're talking about right here.
Mm-hmm.
So this was today. This was after market around 4 o'clock when I put this together, like 4:30 or at 4 o'clock. This all got downloaded. So this was my position size. This was the last price that it traded at, and this was its percentage change per day. The cost basis, the current market value. So like that's what it's worth, the position, and then the unrealized P&L, etc. It's interesting too. You can see this one. Look at this column here, the dividend yield. Watch how the dividend yields change based on price. Like Blackstone went from a 10.7 last week to a 10.4 this week. Why was that? Because their price went up, so their yield went down, right? Because their yield is just the dividend that they're getting paid divided by their price. So when the price goes up, their yield goes down. So interesting. So I am going to start the deposit next week. I may or may not purchase something, but the weekly deposit of $25 is scheduled and will be deposited September 1st, and then 7 days from September 1st on for perpetuity. I just set it as an open reschedule. $25 will be deposited every week. That I will be documenting, and then when I make the first purchase, I will document that as well. Not going to say anything's going to be purchased next week. I have a feeling that something is, just because first deposit, I'm going to want to make some purchases. But yeah, we'll have a cool update next week once that gets in there, and we'll start buying some more securities to get into the portfolio and see how those go. Just some general ideas. I do like the TLT right now. It is positioned well as the rate cycle begins. The Fed did announce that they intend to cut rates in September. So that's good for that portfolio. Same thing with Blackstone after the dividend cut with the rate cycle. I also like Blackstone. I think the sentiment on the commercial real estate is overcooked, and they're gonna, I think, get repriced after that dividend cut. I still like Ford as well. They're down 6%, as you can see on this screen here. It's the only name that's down. I still like the company. We went through the earnings report. Nothing really changed for me fundamentally. So really, it's just a 6% discount right now. So that's another name for me to consider right now. It's a high yielder. You can see it's yielding 5.5% on that 15-cent dividend per share. So we'll see if Ford gets another allocation as well. And then, like I mentioned, Coca-Cola at all-time highs. Might be time to sell a little bit here and just reallocate to maybe some of those other names or some of the new names that we might be adding with the new deposits. So, thoughts from the gallery?
I'm excited for you to implement this $25 a week.
Do you have any?
This.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Go ahead, Lex.
Do you have anything that is outside of your portfolio that you're really investing your research and time into that you're thinking about whenever you do start putting the $25 a week in that you're thinking about purchasing?
Yeah, there's quite a few. I definitely like a lot of the names in the portfolio already. I feel next week that's probably what's going to happen, but there are some other ones that may make it in next week. And um, the only one I'd say that's probably going to guarantee that's going to get some allocation is the TLT. I want to add to that position. Anything else is still pretty up in the air, but I also like Realty Income, which is like another one like Blackstone. They're basically similar setup, pays a high dividend, and I want more REIT exposure. And Blackstone's the only REIT I have right now. Um, Otherwise, yeah, I think it's going to stay in the portfolio for next week. But as new names come up, I'll bring them to you guys.
I have one more comment and one question.
Sure.
I feel like you haven't mentioned how much you're loving Snap lately in a while.
I love Snap.
And my
And here's the thing: if Snap
question
paid a dividend,
is, are you
it would be
keeping
the
the
only
same?
stock in. What's that?
My question is, are you keeping the same strategy with the $25 a week in a sense that are you still dividend driven?
For sure. Certainly. That's why that comment was about Snap. Snap doesn't pay a dividend, so if they paid a dividend, they would be the only company in the portfolio. I said jokingly, because yeah, they're my favorite security right now. If anybody has any additional income that they want to throw on this is going to come out much later. But yeah, I really like Snap right now. This is August 28th. They're fresh off of earnings and they have a new earnings coming up. They're at like $9.50 right now, and they're going to 17 before year end. I'm putting that call out there. So that's like an 80 to 90% upside. You heard it here. Check back in a few months.
You heard it here first.
So moving on, dividend update. No dividends this past week. Year to date
Wait,
dividends still at
pause, Kyle.
932.
Do you want to unshare your screen before you continue on?
Sure.
There you go. Okay,
Unshare.
sorry. Go ahead.
No worries. So cash in the portfolio is still the same, 944. Next dividends, like I said last week, will be Pfizer and Ford next week on the 3rd. And the TLT should be right after that. That's another reason why the TLT is the only one that I've really been looking at lately, because I knew it was one that I wanted to add to before September 3rd, because that's going to be their ex dividend date. That's when they declare the shareholders who get the next dividend. So I've been strategically looking at them because that's who I know I'm going to be adding to. And their dividend will be shortly after. It's usually like 5 or 6 days after ex dividend. So they should be the following week. So dividend accruals are at 391. That's the dividends I've accrued from Pfizer and Ford that will be paid out on the 3rd. That's like accounts receivable, basically what I'm owed from dividends. The dividend reinvestment is still off. So those dividend accruals will just add to the cash total in the portfolio. And earnings updates, still none. Bank of America is up first in October 15th. And macro update and current events or news articles. This one was funny. Or these two I'll read back to back. Bond investors aren't waiting for rate cuts as they pile into fixed income instruments. It was a article suggested to me because I have the TLT in my portfolio, and it's so funny how investor sentiment gets the best of you even when you try to be aware of it, because I read this article and think, wow, TLT, I'm adding to that. This is such a great article. And then the next article I'm reading is Coca-Cola is called a top pick at Morgan Stanley with the rally expected to continue. And I was just thinking, I'm about to trim that position. This article sucks. Why do they think the rally is going to continue? It's just funny to always think you have to rely on your conviction and what you're trying to achieve, what your opinions are about the stock and what you're paying for when you're investing in a stock, not just what the articles or the news or the macro or current events are saying. It's why, like Amanda said, you can tell I'm a passionate investor about Snapchat because it doesn't really matter what the news or the stock price is. I'm passionate about the underlying business and the fundamentals of the business. So it was interesting to see those news articles and my reaction to them differently. And then the last one here is NVIDIA slips even as Q2 results, guidance top expectations, unveils $50 billion buyback. So they're going to spend $50 billion to buy back stock from the market. That's going to take shares out of the market and increase the EPS. But the shares were down. And this week was pretty much all about NVIDIA earnings. I've mentioned this on the pod before. NVIDIA has basically been carrying the market, though it's a very highly weighted S&P stock, so it carries the S&P a little bit. Everybody's been in it. It's been up insane percentages. So their earnings report specifically had a huge impact on the rest of the market because so many people's money were tied up in this. And it just creates a general sentiment that ripples out through the rest of the market. And you could feel ahead of earnings that the sentiment was they needed to beat just to keep the status quo. And that's because they've been beating every quarter. Their results have been spectacular, almost never seen before. And that's why the expectations were so high. And all day today, the market kind of fluttered lower. It hung in there, but it just kept moving a little lower. And it was really because of that anticipation. And the point is really just how much a singular stock like NVIDIA can move the entire market and the entire sentiment of the trading day and pretty much the trading week as well. This is all that's been talked about all week. So on to review and conclude. Exciting to see the compounding really take off here once the $25 adds, just like Amanda said. I'm encouraged to see how that really improves the income the portfolio puts off. That's really what I want you to see is that you've seen the dividends kind of stagnate over the last few weeks because the stocks that I have, there's only so few of them that they all kind of clump together, the dividends. I want to add to the portfolio with more names, not just add to my position sizes, so that more dividends more often, so that the compounding happens at a higher frequency. So I'm getting dividends more consistently and more often. Now that our dividend cycle for our portfolio is turning back around, and this is why I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be adding mostly to our existing names in the portfolio, is because our dividend cycle is coming back around and I like our names in our portfolio. So timing wise, it's just going to add to those because they're right now. But once those come through, it will be a big focus on adding new dividends to the portfolio so that when the current names in the portfolio aren't paying dividends, new ones are, so that we're being paid all year round. So really just starting to love the process, and we'll be looking forward to next week, giving an update on what and if I buy and how those new changes affect the portfolio.
Exciting stuff. Does that mean I'm up? Lex, you got anything for Kyle?
Other than just, I'm excited to see what, if any, you purchase and kind of see how the $25 a week kind of affects what you already have.
You guys bought any stocks yet?
No.
Nope.
When we make this first dollar, we'll buy some stocks. That's going to be on my goals, is to get Amanda and Lexi to buy one of my stocks. That isn't Snapchat. Honestly, I would love for you guys to add to that position. That's here nor there. Well, that's another conversation. Go ahead, Amanda. Kick us off.
All right, kicking it off with my typical stats and highlights for the week. Cooking Depot, I posted my typical 7 videos. And on TikTok, I had 365,000 views, 9,846 likes, and an additional 1,640 followers. So we are at 10,076 followers.
Woo!
And honestly, on Sunday, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to make it this week because I was really thinking last week it would either happen that week or this week. And Sunday, it just really slowed for some reason. And then all of a sudden, yesterday and Monday, it just picked up so fast again. Randomly, my mac and cheese video that I posted on July 1st started getting a ton more views. It had somewhere in, I think, the 200,000 range. It was like 230 or something like that. And now it's over 500,000. So a ton of random views off of that video that's over a month old. And also a lot of traction on my meal prep videos that I talked about even last week. So there's 4 of them so far in the last 4 weeks. And the views on my meal prep videos are 133,000, 22,000, 67,000, and 49,000. So those videos each week do very well. On Instagram, I had 16,495 accounts reached, 190 likes, and 9 new followers. So I'm at 145. And YouTube over the last 7 days, 6,606 views, 119 likes, and 13 new subscribers to put me at 154. Before I get into MERN stats, one other thing with TikTok. So I got
Can we
to
just pause and
yeah.
just give another round of applause for the 10,000 followers on TikTok?
Thank you.
And I called it that it was going to be in August. It's August 28th.
You certainly did, and I didn't think it would happen that fast whenever you first called that. But it happened really early this morning, like before I woke up. And honestly, when I went to bed last night, I knew it was probably going to happen throughout the night. And I woke up a couple of times throughout the night and checked my phone. My body just like naturally woke me up, which is funny. But what I was going to say was, so I hit 10,000 really, really early this morning. And since then, after I made these stats, I think I'm at like 10.5 or 10.6. Like I've gained like 500 or 600 followers today.
I bet I was going to predict that too, as well as that would be like a catalyst. It's like in stocks, we call it like a support or resistance level. The 10,000 is kind of a barrier that once you hit,
Yeah.
it's going to scale much more rapidly up. One, because you just have a bigger base that's going to share from, it's going to interact from. So it's just, you get the snowball compounding effect, just like in stocks. So I think it's going to be really cool to see how those numbers progress from there.
Yeah. So then switching over to MERN real quick, I posted one video on MERN this week, and over the last 7 days on TikTok, I had 378 views, 14 likes, 2 new followers, so I'm at 65. And on Instagram, 213 accounts reached, 10 likes, and 0 new followers, so still at 23. MERN, I'll continue to have at least one video posted per week because I'm still out of town traveling the next few weekends. So I like to make a video out of the weekend travels. That's where that video came from. And then just a special stats segment for hitting 10,000 on Cooking Depot on TikTok. I looked at my all-time stats. So my first video was posted February 22nd. It is currently August 28th. So it's a total of 188 days. And I've posted 185 videos. So I did miss a few days, and there was 1 or 2 days that I posted 2 in one day. So I think I missed in total 5 or 6 days. But hit most of the days that I've been posting, and overall views, all-time views on TikTok is 2.9 million. Likes 100,000, comments 1,417, and followers at 10K.
And that's just TikTok, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
The
crazy.
the 2.9 million stat kind of blew my mind a little bit. Like
I think the
almost
185
3
blew my
million
mind.
people.
The 185 blows my mind even more because that's really the 2.9 is just a product of the 185. The
Yeah.
185 is really the testament of the work and the effort of just grinding over the past 6 months. So well done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Excited for things ahead.
Me too. So then moving on to what I got done this past week. So this morning I did apply to, it now says it's called the Creator Rewards Program. I've been calling it the Creativity Beta Program because that's what they said it was called at the beginning of the year. And I actually can't remember if that's what it said within the TikTok app at the beginning of the year whenever I first started posting or not at this point. So I'm not sure if they changed the name again, but it's now called the Creator Rewards Program. And I literally just had to do one click. I didn't have to put in any additional information, nothing. I literally just clicked join or apply. I forget what the button said. And as soon as you click that button, it gives you a notification that it is going to be processed. It could take up to 3 days. And I got the confirmation email within 20 minutes that I hit apply. So it definitely does not take 3 days. Since that was just today, I don't have any updates on what kind of money it will bring in. But now that I'm in that program, any video that I post that's 60 seconds in length or longer, I'm eligible to make money off of. So that's pretty cool. But besides that, I literally did nothing. I barely even had time to film my content to have a video every day with traveling on the weekends, working during the week, and still wanting to work out. It's just impossible to fit everything in. Lex and I were talking before we started recording tonight that there's just not enough time in the day. I wish days could be longer because I want to accomplish so much more. And it's not like I'm laying around doing nothing for a period of time each day. Last night, I literally didn't stop moving until 10:45, got into bed, watched a show for like 15 minutes and went to sleep. So, it's definitely a second full-time job basically. I did at this point record 4 of the 8 Christmas and Thanksgiving videos if I'm staying on track with 2 per week. And I'd like to have 2 to 3 done tomorrow if possible. I bought the ingredients for the recipes that I want to film, so I'm ready to do it. I just haven't had time to actually knock them out. But I really want to stick with that 2 per week because as you can see, there's just definitely not enough time to film 35 videos to have them ready to go right up to Thanksgiving. So if I wait until the last minute, I'm just not going to have enough time. So I need to stick with that 2 per week as best as I can. And then moving on to just some general update stuff. As soon as I hit 10,000 this morning, I had the option to add playlists, which I mentioned a while back that when I looked up online when that would happen, it said that most people do see it happen at 10K. And it literally was instantaneous. As soon as I hit 10K and I opened TikTok, right above all my videos, it had the little notification that says create playlists. So I was playing around with it a little bit today. I made one for my meal prep videos and I made one for my homemade condiments because those are the 2 that I make the most videos in the same category, I would say. And when you add them to the playlist, it adds part 1, part 2, part 3, etc. in front in the captions. And you can reorder the videos. So if I reorder it, it'll change which one says part 1, part 2. I don't love that it says part 1, part 2 because mine aren't necessarily parts. It's just different condiments or different week meal prep. But it does at least indicate to someone if it pops up on their For You page that there's more of that kind of video, I guess. I'm not sure if you can reorder playlists. I didn't have the option to click and drag to move which one was listed first on my profile. So I'm not sure if it's automatic based on which one you've added a video to most recently. I'll have to update you guys once I actually start to add stuff to them. That would be my guess, but I'll learn that through experience. The only notification that I did see is that you can only add one playlist per video. So I can't add the same video to multiple different playlists. So that's all in regards to playlists. I did have a notification pop up on my TikTok today that said edit feature enhanced, and the little blurb below it said split videos, define sound starting point, easily set duration of text, overlay, and more with the advanced editing feature. All of those things that it lists, I already was able to do. So I'm not sure if they just made them better. I'll have to continue editing with TikTok and see what they mean by that. But TikTok is definitely ever evolving. There's constantly new things, which I love about it. And it's already a great app for editing. So if they made it even better, then that's pretty sweet.
Before you move on, because I
Yeah.
want to comment on that, TikTok wants longer videos. That's why they're incentivizing with the creator rewards program for only videos up over 60 seconds, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means that they want to compete with YouTube. I think YouTube and TikTok are going to be hugely competitive, and I think the rewards on both of them are only going to get better for creators comparatively towards longer videos, because I think um, YouTube is obviously the king of longer form videos,
Mm-hmm.
and TikTok wants to challenge that, and that's why I think so much money is being thrown at people who can bring those longer term videos
Yeah.
to TikTok, which you're in a really good place to capitalize on. But I did want to ask, have you looked into the rewards on the other platforms as much as the TikTok, like even Facebook, YouTube? I think you mentioned the YouTube rewards and how to make money on that earlier episodes, but even like Snapchat as well. Have you checked out the other ones?
Yeah, actually, this is what I was going to add to your comment before when you were just talking before you asked the question. So, YouTube, I need to look back. I know it's 4,000 subscribers, and there's two options for the amount of views. There's one option for number of shorts views and one option for number of long-term video views. The number of views were much higher, but there's no limit on how long a video has to be or how short a video has to be to earn money, as far as I can see. But it's definitely 4,000 subscribers, and then the view count was, I want to say, like 10 million views for shorts or something crazy like that. I'll have to look back. I have not looked into any other platforms. As far as I'm concerned, Instagram doesn't have one, but Facebook and Snapchat, I have not, primarily because I don't post on either one of those. Um, but yeah.
I think I can shed some light on Snapchat a little bit. I know that they're very friendly to creators because they're the smaller platform. They're the platform that's the most aggressive price wise. So I know that at least for a long period, and that's one thing that Gary Vee mentions in his book Crushing It that I gave you,
Mm-hmm.
is that don't sleep on the smaller platforms that you don't think of as being friendly to promoters or to creators, because a lot of the times they're the ones that people don't think of as much, and that's
Mm-hmm.
where they'll pay you a lot more for the same stuff in
Yeah.
some scenarios. So
It's
worth
definitely,
worth
yeah,
considering.
definitely something to look into. I don't know if it's something that I want to do right now. I just am really enjoying where I'm at right now. And we went through that whole Facebook thing and I stopped doing it for right now. So right now I'm just going to keep it the 3, but I do agree it's definitely something to look into. And then one other thing that popped into my brain while we were talking about this, I mentioned this a while ago, but the relationship between TikTok and YouTube, like we were just talking about, now it'll be really interesting for me because on TikTok, in order to make money, I have to post 60 seconds or longer. And on YouTube, in order to post a short, it has to be 60 seconds or shorter. So I'm going to have to make a sweet spot where I'm making videos that are like 1:06 long, 1:07 long, somewhere like that. And the end couple of clips that last 6 seconds doesn't really matter because it's going to get cut off on YouTube, but I have to have it there to post on TikTok.
Kind of to touch base on that, I think it's touch base on that, and also kind of what Kyle said with how TikTok's trying to be the new YouTube. My thing is why though? Because I feel like everyone goes to TikTok to
Because
watch.
YouTube makes over $1 billion a week. That's why.
Yeah, but everyone goes to TikTok to watch the short little videos, even if it is 60 seconds or 2 minutes or whatever. Like, people don't go there to watch an hour-long film.
Yeah, but YouTube's competing with TikTok on that with shorts.
Fair. But
They're
TikTok
taking
has
market share
TikTok 100% has that them beat
for
on
sure.
shorts
But
though.
they're not going to sit there and not fight back and say, "You're taking some of my lunch money. I want some of yours."
Fair.
Everyone consumes their content on different platforms too. Like there's people that watch Reels, there's people that watch TikTok For You page, there's people that scroll through shorts on YouTube. Everyone has a different preference. So I don't think it's just that people go to TikTok for shorter videos now. I think it's they go wherever they go.
Fair.
That's true.
All right, anything else before I do my little closing?
Nope.
All right. Then I was able to cross off one of my goals. My goals, make the first dollar, is still there. Hopefully that gets crossed off very, very soon. And 10,000 followers on TikTok by February 22nd. Check. That goal was met. And then the last one, first paid brand deal, is my last one. And then just shouting myself out. If you'd like to follow me, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at cookin.depot, cooking without the G, cookin.depot. And then on YouTube, it's just Cookin' Depot. There's no period in it. And then my more lifestyle content, you can find me on Instagram or TikTok at Mern, MERN, _.
Alrighty, that does it for today's episode of the Three Path Profits podcast. We want to thank you guys for listening and encourage you to leave comments or questions to help us improve moving forward. We'll be posting episodes every Friday, so stay tuned and make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any episodes or important updates. If you enjoyed the podcast, tell a friend or family member you think would enjoy. And also, please be sure to check out our social media pages, TikTok and Instagram at 3.path.profits. We appreciate your support and we'll catch you next week.
Peace.
Peace.